All right, so check your first two. It already set it up where you had a positive and negative that would eliminate when you added. So when you add, your 7x's cancel, your 2y plus y is 3y, 10 and negative 16 is negative 6. Divide both sides by 3, y equals negative 2. You're going to take that and plug it into one of your equations. I just chose the top one, so 7x plus 2 times negative 2 equals 10. 7x minus 4 is 10. Add your 4, so 7x is 14. Divide by 7, x is 2. So your x is 2, your y is negative 2. On number 6, again, they set it up where you already had your x's that would cancel when you added, so you can immediately start adding down. Your x's will cancel. 3y and 5y are 8y, 20 and 60 are 80. Divide both sides by 8, so y is 10. Take that 10 and plug it back into one of your equations. I chose the top one. 20x plus 3 times 10 equals 20. So 20x plus 30 is 20. Subtract 30 from both sides. 20x is negative 10. Divide both sides by 20. X is negative 10 over 20. You want to reduce to negative 1/2. So your x is negative 1/2. Your y is 20. So for number 8 here, they tell us the total tickets sold was 456. And they've already set up our variables for us. They want A to be adult. And they want S to be student. All right, if they don't give you specific variables, you can use whatever variables you want. X and Y is fine. Schools sold a total of 456 tickets. So that means your adult tickets plus your student tickets equal 456. And then they said that an adult ticket is $3.50. So we're going to say 3.5 times your adult ticket. And your student ticket is $1. So 1 times S. The total amount sold was $11.31. And so what you want to do is you cannot immediately add. If you immediately add, you are going to have 2 instead of canceled out for those S's. So we're just going to negate all of one of those. All right, we're going to negate all of one of those. And so for the A, we have negative 1 and positive 3.5. So that's 2.5A. For my S's, I have negative 1 and positive 1. And that cancels. And for my tickets, or my subtraction over here, we're just going to subtract. Now, keep in mind that this is my smaller. So if you have to do long subtraction here, subtract up. So do like 1 minus 6 and do it this way so that you can subtract up there. So make sure you subtract the right way. All right. And then my final step to solve for my A is just to divide. And so I'm going to take my 675 and I'm going to divide both of those by the 2.5 there. All right. And again, you could do this with fractions. So if you wanted to change that to an improper fraction, you could. 2.5, 5 halves. And then you could keep change flip and you could do 675 times 2 over 5 because you're dividing by 5 halves. But whichever is easiest for you. When you divide, you should get the adult tickets equal 270. And once you have that, you can plug it back into your top equation there. So if this is 270, then 270 plus my student tickets equals 456. So my student tickets would be 186. And so in a word problem, you want to say something like adult tickets, especially if you assigned a different variable. You want to write it somewhere so that I know that you know what your answer was, that you have defined your answer. If I just add straight down, nothing is going to cancel. And so I'm going to look for the easiest one to potentially get rid of. Now, if I do my smaller numbers, which is 2 and 3, I actually have to multiply both of them. So I would have to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 2, which is fine. Or I can just multiply the bottom by negative 4, whichever one is easier as far as, doing the problem. If you want smaller numbers, you can do the 2 and the 3. Or if you want to just multiply one of them, you can just do the bottom one. Whichever one's fine. I personally would probably just do the one where I'm only multiplying 1 because it's less room for error there. So if I were to do this particular one, I would likely just multiply the second equation by negative 4 so that I could get rid of my x's. So I'm going to write my top equation the way it is. I'm going to leave that one alone. My bottom equation, I'm going to say 4 times, negative 4 times 6 rather, is negative 24. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. And then negative 4 times negative 36 is 144, I believe. Right? Now I have ones that will add and subtract. So if I just add this down, positive and negative 24 will cancel. All right, 2 and 12, that will give me 14. Y. And 52 and 142 is going to give me 196. 196 is evenly divisible. That's actually 14 times 14. So my Y is going to be 14. And then I can take that and plug that into either of those equations. So if I just go back to my top equation, I have 24x plus 2 times 14 equals 52. 24x plus 28 equals 52. Subtract 28. 24x equals 24. So divide both sides by 24. X equals 1. And that would be my answer there, 114. So for this one, 2 groups of students order burritos and tacos at a local restaurant. One orders of 3 burritos and 4 tacos cost $11.33. The order of 9 burritos and 5 tacos cost $23.56. So for this one, we have 2 variables here. How many burritos were sold and how many tacos were sold. All right. And so they've given us 2 orders here. The first order, they give us a certain number of each and a total. So we have 3 of our burritos and 4 of our tacos, and that is the total, $11.33. For the next one, we have 9 burritos and we have 5 tacos, and that's going to be $23.56. All right. Again, this is not automatically going to cancel, but I think the X is going to be the easiest one. If I have a positive 3 and a positive 9, I could make that a negative 9 and a negative 9, and that would cancel. All right. And so if I multiply all of those by negative 3, I'm going to get something like that. And then I can add down and solve for it. And so at this point, my X's will cancel. Negative 12 and positive 5 is negative 7. And then I'm just going to subtract here because I'm going to get a negative number. So I'm going to subtract my smaller from my larger here. So we can just do the 9 minus the 6, the 9 minus the 5, the 3 minus the 3, and the 3 minus the 2, and keep it negative, right? Just subtract and keep the sign of the larger. All right. Questions so far? And then my final step would just be to divide by 7. All right. And you can do long division there. So just do 7 into 10. We're dividing by negative 7, obviously. So solving for y here is going to give me 7 into 10 is 1. And you can just do it either this way like you're used to, or you can do it just right here. It doesn't matter which way you do it. But you're going to get... should be what, 6, 7 into 32, so it's going to be 4, 63, 9. Your tacos cost $1.49. And then you can plug that back into one of your equations, and you should have gotten, when you did this one, $1.79 for that one. But it doesn't matter which equation you plug it back into. All right, so for graphing, you're literally going to graph them individually. So if I were to do this top one, I'm going to graph this one all by itself first. So I'm going to do it just like I would. It's in slope-intercept form. I'm going to start at -2 and use a slope of -1. So if I start at -2, I'm going to go right here. A slope of -1 would bring me down 1 and right 1. Or you can go up 1 and left 1, as long as one of your movements is negative. And then you just connect your dots there. All right. And so that's just graphing the first line. I'm going to do the same thing with the second line. So I'm going to take the second line and I'm going to graph that one. I'm going to start at -4, which is right here. And my slope is positive 1, so that moves me up 1, right 1. When I do that movement, I can see exactly where they're going to cross. But I'm going to go ahead and draw that line. And so my answer is going to be where they cross, this point right here. And this point is the point 1, -3. And so that would be my answer for this one, 1, -3. So if you get parallel lines, you're just going to graph the two lines. You still have to graph it, and then you're going to write the words no solution. If you get the same line where you graph it and they end up being the same exact line, your answer would be the line equation itself. All right? So the first one for substitution, it already has a variable completely by itself. So for this one, I already have that y equals the -4x minus 4. And so I am going to take that and I'm going to substitute it in the other equation for my y. All right, so I'm going to use that for my y. And so I'm going to take that top equation and say -2x minus 2, and instead of y, I'm going to write what y equals from the other equation, 4x minus 4, and then equals 8. And then I'm going to solve for my x. So I'm going to distribute this -2. I'll get -2x plus 8x plus 8 equals 8. I need to combine like terms. My like terms here are the -2x and the positive 8x. So I will get 6x plus 8 equals 8. Just continue solving, subtract your 8, 6x equals 0. Divide by 6, x equals 0. And then I'm going to take that answer and I'm going to plug it back into my equation to solve for y. Y equals -4 times x, which we know is 0, minus 4. 0 minus 4 is -4. So my answer here for this one would be 0 for x, -4 for my y. All right, for the second one that I picked, I do not have a variable completely solved by itself. I have two that would be easy though. I have a y here and an x here. Now the difference is the y has a -1 in front of it. So if I move something over, I still have to divide by something to get the y by itself. So I'm actually going to solve for x here. I'm going to get x completely by itself. So I'm going to take this equation and I am going to get x by itself. I'm going to add that 3y over, and I will see that x equals 3y plus 7. Now I have an equation with a variable completely by itself, and I will take that 3y plus 7 and plug it into the other equation for my x. So then I'll go back to my top equation that I haven't used yet, and I'm going to say 3, and instead of x, I'm going to write what I have solved x to equal, 3y plus 7. So 3x minus y equals -3. And then I'm going to distribute my 3. 9y plus 21 minus y equals -3. Combine my like terms, 9y and -y. 8y plus 21 equals -3. And continue solving, subtract your 21. 8y equals -24. So when I divide, I get y equals -3 here. And then once I know that, I can plug it back in to an equation. So if I take it back up here to this equation, I can say x minus 3 times -3 equals 7. X plus 9 equals 7. X equals -2. So my final answer for this one would be -2, -3. So for this one, I have 6 and 4. Those will not count, and then cancel, and then my 5 and -4 will not cancel. Nor can I just multiply one of them by something. So for this one, I'm going to have to multiply both equations. And in a case like this, they're about the same size numbers, but for the y's, I actually already have a positive and a negative, so I would actually choose to eliminate the y's here because I already have a positive negative, and I wouldn't have to multiply one of these by a negative. So I can just multiply this top one by 4, and this bottom one by 5. And that will give me a common number. So if I multiply the 4, I'm going to actually distribute it to all of these. So I'm going to get 24x plus 20y equals what? 104. All right. And then if I distribute my 5 through to all of these, I'm going to get 20x minus 20y equals negative 60. All right. And when I add those, I will get 44x. My y's will cancel. And 104 minus 60 is 44. So dividing here, my x is going to equal 1. And I'm going to take that and plug it back into one of my equations. So if I use my top equation here, 6 times 1 plus 5y equals 26. So 6 plus 5y equals 26. Subtract my 6. 5y equals 20. Divide by 5, y equals 4. So my answer here is going to be 1, 4.